One of the most important skills astrologers can have is knowing how to make predictions using both the dasha cycles and the transits in the sky. Now, as the planets are moving through the sky, they interact with the planets in our natal chart and also with the specific timing factors, in particular the dasha cycle. So knowing exactly how that works and how to read the transiting planets in the sky is one of the most important skills you'll ever learn as an astrologer. How to organize these two things, how to know whether a transit is going to produce this major long-term benefit, whether it's going to be operating just as a kind of influence, and how to read that within the context of the dasha cycle is going to be the major focus of an upcoming course that I'm doing. Now, again, I will be showing both the planets in transit, both in a general sense, like how to approach them, in a general way, but also how each transiting planet interacts with each natal planet. And again, not just by conjunction through transit, but also aspects through transit, aspecting each other as they move through the sky, forming yogas as they move through the sky, and all kinds of other things that you really need to know. And again, it's not just crucial that you know how to identify it, but how to apply it, because all timing structures in Vedic astrology work within the dashas, and how you can work with these two main timing structures is of utmost importance so that you can not be confused. Because what typically happens is I hear students say things like, well, is it from the dasha or from the transit? Which is more important? What do I pay more attention to? It's the typical thing that astrology students are confused about because, frankly, often astrologers don't really know how to teach it very well. They say, because they're not really sure themselves. So I'm going to show you how it works. And again, you always want to be identifying certain planets as they're transiting through the sky. And again, it's not just for your clients, but so that you understand as well. Wherever the nodal axis is going to be very important for a given amount of time, whether a person is in the dasha of that or not. And again, the nodal axis also goes over certain planets. Again, when does that become crucial? Right? Going over the dasha planet, for example. You also have, Saturn is always going to be going back and forth for a couple years. Again, whether someone's in the Saturn dasha or not, it's also influencing that house. It's also casting an aspect. It's also going over perhaps a dasha planet or any planet. Saturn going over Mars is always going to show something in someone's life. Saturn going over, of course, the moon. This is the big one we talk about, Sati Sati. I'm going to be talking about transits with a lot of depth so that you understand not just how to approach them generally, because that's also important. For example, understanding what these returns mean. For example, it's called a recurrence transit. We talk about the solar return every year. That's called our birthday. It's just a solar return. It means the Earth comes back to its point in its orbit. But then we also have the moon returns every month. Right? Mercury, Venus also return about every year. Mars returns about every couple years. Jupiter returns about every 12 years, etc. All of the returns are important. There are certain benchmarks in life where returns also start to line up. What does it mean when planets return? Also, what does it mean when a planet returns to where it was previously? Let's say the last time, for example, we talk about Saturn going over the moon. When was the last time Saturn went over the moon, if it's happened a couple times? How to read these things. Again, and that's not even to mention going deeply into aspects by transit, which frankly aren't really talked about at all. I don't hear any other astrologers talk about this, and it's incredibly important. So again, this is not just going to be theory. As you know, with all my classes, there's a ton of examples. You're going to see it come to life. I'm not just going to endlessly theorize about it. I'm going to show you examples of it happening. And of course, a lot of this will also be with people that are in the class in real time. So we can look at things that have happened in their life, in your life, in real time and really get this handled. So again, you can register for the class. You see the information below, and it'll be a great addition to your Vedic astrology education. It's something that you really need to know, and I'm looking forward to teaching that and showing you how transits work in your client's life, in your life, and how you can really understand it not just generally, but also literally and specifically as transits and dashas work together to show karma's unfolding. So go ahead and register, and it'll be a great weekend course.